Hello and welcome back to DMCA Chess Academy. This is Chess Coach Ritesh Mathew. Today I'm going to show you a chess trap in the Owen's defense. And the move order in Owen's defense starts like this. White plays e4 and black, instead of immediately claiming the center, moves the pawn to b6. And then here white takes the double pawn center. And then black tries to take some center control with fianchettoing his bishop, queenside bishop on b7. Now this opening is called the Owen's defense, and in Owen's defense black wants to fianchetto his dark square bishop on b7 to take center control, but there is a small downside to this. White gets good space advantage by having two pawns in the center. Another downside for black is that unlike g6 and bishop kingside bishop fianchetto, with g6 black can castle faster, but fianchettoing his queenside bishop and trying to take control doesn't allow black to castle faster, and this might create some kingside weaknesses for black. All right, so now here the argument is clear. Black is attacking the undefended e4 pawn, so white will continue with bishop to d3, and he wants to defend this pawn. Okay, so that's the plan so far. But here black tries to act a little sneaky and clever and gambits the f pawn. Okay, and black is like, hey white, I dare you to capture this pawn, because if white tries to capture this pawn, then there is a discovered attack by the bishop on the g2 pawn, and furthermore it will trap the rook inside. So that's what black is thinking in Owen's defense. All right, but this is a blunder. Playing the f5 and trying to double attack the e4 pawn is a blunder from black, as we'll see it right now. So here the main line you can continue is you can still capture the pawn and shock your opponent and give up the pawn, and furthermore get your own rook trapped. Okay, so black will get excited here, and black will feel like white made a blunder and the g2 pawn falls, and thereby trapping the bishop. All right, so here black created some kingside weakness, as we will find out very soon. So here white can continue with queen to h5 check, because this diagonal has now become very weak. All right, so once the queen gives a check, it's a forced move for black. The only way black can defend is by blocking the check over here by playing g6 pawn. Now here white can continue and simply capture this pawn. Now what is the threat? Well, the threat is clear now. White is saying, hey black, do something about this situation, otherwise if I just move the pawn to g7 or capture your pawn on h7, then this is a checkmate, because this whole diagonal is weak and king cannot escape out of this diagonal. So at this point, if black doesn't realize the threat and becomes greedy and tries to get material by capturing the rook, then either g7 is mate, pawn to g7, or pawn captures h7 is checkmate. All right, so this is the main line trap, and we're going to look at some variations here. Okay, so the first variation I want us to see is, instead of bishop capturing the rook and gaining some material, black can continue by playing bishop to g7 square. This will allow king to escape on the f8 square. So once the bishop is played on g7, white can still continue and capture the pawn and give a discovered check, and the only forced move right now is king goes to f8 square. Here white can continue with knight to h3. I know the rook is trapped, but that's okay. White can allow black to capture the rook, and then white can put the knight to g5, and now there is a checkmating threat. All right, so to deal with this checkmating threat, the queen goes to f7 is checkmate, by the way. So to deal with this threat, black needs to take control of f7 square in one move. All right, so the way black will do it is he may play the knight to h6 square. Now here white can simply continue with his normal development. Some ideas are knight to c3, bishop d2, and long castling. All right, so here white clearly is winning if white continues to play accurately. After bishop g7, these are some ideas for white. Okay, and here white has lost a rook, but his compensation is very clear. You know, all the white pieces are more active, and black's king cannot castle any longer. So white should be able to win this variation easily. So that's one variation, bishop goes to g7. Instead of bishop goes to g7, if the bishop goes to the d5 square, with the idea of once the pawn moves up to g7 or pawn captures h6, check, discovered check, the same bishop on d5 can go back and block. So let's check that variation now. Okay, so this is all instead of bishop capturing the rook and getting checkmated. Okay, so this is the second variation now. So let's check what happens if bishop goes to d5. Here white can continue by pushing the pawn up. Now there is a discovered check, and also there is a possibility of pawn capturing the rook and also becoming a new queen. So here black can continue by blocking the check, because that's the only move, forced move. And once they block the check and attack the queen, here there are a couple of options for white. Either white can simply capture the rook and make a new queen and allow black to capture the queen, and then here white can continue with queen capturing h7 and queen can escape. So this is clearly losing for black. Or here white can continue, instead of capturing the rook, white can first capture the bishop, right, and then king captures the queen, and then capture the rook and get a new queen. So black is completely lost here. The king cannot castle any longer, and it's all over for black. All right, so I want us to check the third variation. Instead of bishop capturing the rook and getting checkmated, if black moves the pawn to either d6 or d5 with the idea of opening a little window for the black king to escape. So once the check comes, discovered check, king can escape. So let's check that line as well. So here if pawn to d5, then again white can continue with this variation. Okay, giving a discovered check, and black king can only escape to the d7 square. Here white can simply again capture this rook and make a new queen, and again black is completely lost over here. All right, and I want us to check probably the last variation here. All right, and instead of bishop capturing the rook and getting checkmated in one move, if the bishop goes to f3 square. Okay, now what's the idea? Once white either pushes the pawn up or captures the pawn and gives a discovered check, this queen will give a discovered check, black can capture the queen. So that's another variation. Well, if black tries to do that, then white can simply capture that bishop, and again black is lost because white's pieces are more developed and this pawn has advanced, and clearly this is winning for white. So these are some variations that I wanted us to check, and for good reasons. You know, Owen's defense is not very popular at top level. It's considered to be a dubious opening at the top level for good reasons. You know, black's king side becomes weak. His king can be his king will have to move at some point if he doesn't play carefully. Black will lose the right to castle, and black is allowing white to get a good space advantage early in the opening, and black cannot castle. So for these reasons, this opening is considered to be dubious. Okay, so try this trap on your opponent if he plays the Owen's defense and pushes the pawn to f5 and double attacking your e4 pawn. a couple of times my opponents have played this opening against me, and I have tried this trap a couple of times on my opponent. So it's a very rare line, but always good to keep this Owen's defense in mind and remember these king side ideas. Okay, all right, so I hope you like this little trap, and do like and subscribe to my channel Chess Melody for more chess and music related videos. Thank you and have a great day.